Welcome back to Poly Productions. Today, we're going to be learning how to take a wheel off and put a wheel back onto a car. The first step in changing a wheel is going to be to make sure we have everything we're going to need for the process. You're going to want a 3-ton jack, a 19mm ratchet, and the wheels that will be going on the car. For our first step, we want to make sure the car's on a flat surface. We're going to step inside and make sure the e-brake is on. Now that we're sure the car won't roll away, we're going to slide the jack underneath the car. Now when we position the jack, it's important we make sure we're putting it onto the jacking points on the strut of the car. Once we're sure we are on the jacking points, we're going to make sure that the shaft is screwed all the way in tight, and you're going to begin pumping the car up. Now that the car is jacked up to the point where we can see light under the wheel, we're going to drag another wheel underneath the car. This wheel will act as a safety device in case the car falls off the jack. Now, using our 19mm socket, we're going to lock on and crack loose each of the 5 lug nuts which hold the wheel on. As we crack the lug nuts loose, I'm going in a star pattern, meaning I'm starting on this end, going across to this side, then back down to this side. This is important when you're taking wheels off. That way, you don't remove force from one nut and apply too much force to another stud, causing it to bend and the wheel not fit. Now that every lug is loose, we can continue using our socket. Slowly continue to loosen each bolt, following the same star pattern. At this point, if you don't have wheel spacers, it would be the time to put a block of wood or something else underneath the wheel to stop it from falling when the lug nuts come off. Now we'll continue loosening the lug nuts until each one pops off. Now you'll repeat this process on all 5 until your wheel is fully loose. Now that we have all 5 lug nuts removed, we're going to place them down to the side in a nice neat pile, and we're going to take the wheel off. Now when taking the wheel off, it's very important that you pull it straight out. That way you don't hit your rotors or caliper and damage them. So I'm going to grip the sides of the wheel and lift it up and pull it straight out. I'm going to make sure to pull it all the way out before I place it down, as to not damage anything in my wheel well. Now that we have the wheel removed, we're going to roll it over and place it down on its side so it doesn't roll anywhere. Our next step is going to be to grab the wheel we're putting on. Now before we put it on, we want to turn it around and make sure there's no dirt or debris in any of these lug holes or anywhere on the inside of the rim that could affect its fitment on the car. This wheel looks all good, so we're going to roll it right over to the car and slide it towards the wheel well, making sure not to hit any of the studs. Now, this is the only tricky part of putting the wheel back on the car. Now that we've got it lined up with the wheel well, we need to put it back on the studs. There are 5 studs and 5 holes. Every stud needs to go perfectly into the hole or the wheel won't sit right. Now, since the studs are raised up, I've positioned my feet on either side of the tire in order to lift it up and keep it stable. And I've already lined up the top hole with the top stud, so I have something to aim for. Just like that, we've got the wheel seated on the studs. Now, before we do anything else, we want to keep that wheel on there. We're going to put one lug nut in that top hole, just finger tight. Give it a few twists so you know it's on there. And we're going to take one more lug nut and put it in that bottom hole directly across from the last one. Now we're going to continue around the wheel and finger tighten each lug nut until we have all 5 on. Now we're going to begin to screw in all the lug nuts. And just like taking off the wheel, we're going to follow the same star pattern. Starting in the top, wait till you feel some tension, and then go to the one across. This whole time while we're tightening, you want to make sure the belly of the wheel is sitting flat with the inside of your rotor. Now that the bolts have gotten too tight to tighten with our hands, we're going to snap our ratchet back onto our bit, and we're going to start ratcheting them down. Now that we have all the lug nuts mostly tightened, we're going to make sure we remove the wheel before lowering the car. And then we're going to lower the car by twisting this counterclockwise. And just like that, the car is on the ground. You can pull the jack right out from under it. Now that the car is back on the ground and there's weight on the wheels, we're going to finish tightening the lug nuts. Lug nuts should usually be torqued between 120 to 150 Newton meters. So if you don't have a torque wrench, put all of your weight into it. Just like that, the new wheel is on the car and you are ready to go.